We'll move on to the other reason I got in touch with you today for this interview. I got your press release earlier this week, Maurice, about Syria. Can you tell me how long you and World Vision and you yourself personally have been working in Syria? And can you tell me how you are finding it over the last 12 years compared to when before the war started there?
Yeah, so World Vision has been working in Syria since the war started. So we've been there for the last 12 years. And World Vision Ireland has been supporting programs in northwest Syria, which is an area outside of government control. And really the situation there has been and continues to be quite dire, Darren. Like, you have people living in tents, in makeshift houses, in communities. And we know the weather gets cold here. It gets equally as cold in northwest Syria. So you have people over the last winter who are living in tents and who really have lost everything and are absolutely frozen. I was talking to my colleagues on the ground there recently, especially with the impact of the recent earthquake, and they said heat, warmth is everyone's major concern, and that's what people are worried about, is how do they keep themselves warm. But we're seeing huge issues for child protection, and much of our focus in northwest Syria is on child protection programming and on gender-based violence, because we have large amounts of women and children who are on their own. So it's how do we make sure that those children have a childhood? We have a lot of what we call child-friendly spaces, so children can go to these areas and we provide psychosocial support, we provide play therapy. Children just get to just have some time where it is not as stressful as it is in the general refugee or IDP camps. So it is really difficult, and we're seeing over the years, obviously with the increasing conflicts and the increasing issues all around the globe, we're seeing the funding drop for Syria. The Irish government, of course, has been very generous to us as World Vision and to other NGOs who work in Syria. But we are seeing globally that the level of funding for Syria is dropping. It's not as much as it used to be, and it is difficult with multiple conflicts across the world. But it is now in danger of becoming one of those forgotten crises that people don't consider anymore. So that would be another concern we have.
I don't know who it was that said that, quote, war is always an evil context, but are you finding that in your work in the country and other countries like DRC, Maurice, that war is just, the context is just like terrible?
Yeah, and it's particularly difficult for children and for their mothers. And we're seeing this. And even I was in South Sudan last year, and I was in Somalia very recently. And we're seeing these countries that have conflict that's ongoing. And it really is the children who's most impacted. And I go and I meet communities who have had to move 2-3 times because of conflict. And they're continuously on the move, and they only arrive somewhere, and then suddenly there's more issues. So it really is being very disruptive, but we're providing, and it's something that we're really keen on, is providing education in emergencies. So even in these emergency situations where things are very difficult, we are providing access to education for children. And I always check when I go to these places, I ask, well, is education really the most important thing? And parents and teachers always say to me, yes, because when we move from here, you cannot take the education from our children. They see it as an investment in their children, but also in the country. And they will say things like, if we don't have education, we'll be in the same situation in 1,000 years. So we're really confident that providing education in these situations, and that's as simple as providing school books or training for the teachers or working with community members to encourage girl children to go to school, because a lot of times in these situations, it's, as you know, Darren, the girl child who will be kept at home to go collect the water or to look after younger siblings. So it's ensuring that we create that sort of environment where all children can go to school and learn and create a better life for themselves.
It's great you're doing all this work, education, but also the other work like child-friendly, safe places and all this kind of safe spaces. It's all this kind of work. But okay, I haven't heard any reports, Maurice, that the war in Syria is likely to end anytime soon. But can you tell me what you are calling for in World Vision on a humanitarian level?
Well, I suppose there's a few things we'd be asking for, Darren. Ultimately, it is peace, and it is a peace process that we would like to see, and cessation of violence on all sides in the Syria War, as in every war, that's what ultimately we need is negotiated peace processes, and for everyone to respect international humanitarian and human rights law. But in the meantime, we need sustainable and ongoing access to the humanitarian affected populations, and we need the funding to be able to support these communities.